Hi everyone, Shana Tova. My name is Emma Kahle. I'm filming this today on our 55th day hiking from the Continental Divide to the Pacific Ocean on the Pacific Northwest Trail, and today we have just reached Puget Sound, which you can see behind me. Upon reflecting on the themes of awakening and wake-up call associated with the high holidays, I've realized that the most meaningful wake-up call to me is really spending time in the outdoors. And so of course on a trip like this, I'm getting plenty of time to be outside. My responsibilities are just walking and eating and sleeping day after day, so I have lots of time to just be present in the moment and reflect. And today I wanted to share with you two analogies from the natural world that have to do with this theme of awakening. So you might think that, of course, the most obvious analogy in the natural world is, of course, the sunrise. And being out here day after day on the trail, you really get into that rhythm of going to bed when the sun sets and, of course, waking up when the sun rises. But not all places on Earth have the daily sunset-sunrise cycle. I've actually been fortunate enough to spend time at the South Pole in Antarctica, where in the summertime it's such a high latitude that the sun does not set. So instead of rising and setting, the sun is actually circling around you every single day in the sky, and you have 24 hours of daylight. It's kind of a surreal situation. And so instead of a daily sunrise and sunset, there's essentially a yearly sunrise. The sun rises around this time, mid-September, and then you have one long day until the sun sets in March, and then it is nighttime all the way through September again. And I think this is a really interesting analogy to do with actually thinking about the Jewish year, thinking about how the sun circling overhead symbolizes sort of the busyness of everyday life, and then we have this moment right now, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, to think and reflect back on what has happened in the past year, a wake-up call. So that's the first analogy. The second analogy came from back on trail here, much closer to home. A few weeks ago, I was hiking. We crossed the North Cascades and we were fording the Chilliwack River just a few miles south of Canada, and we happened upon salmon spawning in the river, and it was a really amazing sight, one of the highlights of all 55 days so far. And it made me think about the salmon life cycle. The salmon hatch somewhere in inland fresh water. They make their way out to the ocean where they grow and they eat all sorts of things and they get all the nutrients from the ocean, and then those salmon swim back. When it comes to the end of their life, they find their way back upstream to the same place that they were born, and they lay their eggs. And then they die. But that's not the end of the story, because the salmon, when they die, they have now brought all those nutrients from the ocean back into the forest. And those nutrients are going to help the trees grow, they're going to feed the animals, and it's just really this amazing process. And it made me think about how that's similar to, our yearly cycle. We go out in the world, we have all these experiences, we learn new things, we meet new people, and then when it comes around to the high holidays again, and it's time for that wake-up call, we have that moment to think about, well, what are all those experiences and things that I learned in the past year that I want to bring with me and apply in the next year and move forward with. And so just like the salmon brings nutrients back to the forest, what have I learned in the past year that I want to bring with me back into this next year? And so this year at the high holidays, I'm thinking about very far away, the sun that's just starting to rise right now at the South Pole. And I'm also thinking about the salmon that I saw just a week ago up in the North Cascades, bringing all those nutrients back to the mountains. I wish you all meaningful reflections during this wake-up call time of the high holiday season. Shana Tova.